Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I wanted to put a video out today just because I wanted to give you a gift, and it's the making of the Silent Fugue of Roses. Now, this is a remake of a video I did about 3 years ago, but I've changed it up a little bit, and I thought it was a very interesting video because it starts with a canvas that is not one that I really liked, but I kept pursuing on it. And so I thought you would enjoy the process through to the end of this one. When I painted this painting, I really thought it was going to be kind of abstracts and some variation of blues. And I finished it and I wasn't feeling it. So what goes through my mind when I get to this stage is what am I feeling? What am I per se craving? What am I wanting to do with this painting? Many times I will just let a canvas at this stage sit in front of me for a little bit until I feel like I know what direction I want to go. I honestly can't say that I'm always inspired to go another direction. Sometimes I will go look at, I'll look at some of my other paintings. I will look at some TV shows that I know have larger abstracts. I'm not quite sure sometimes where the inspiration comes from, but, and I can't say I'm always inspired, but sometimes what happens is I just all of a sudden know what direction I want to go. Will that be the final direction for this painting? Sometimes I don't know. I may paint layer and layer and layer on top of each other, because what happens is when I looked at this blue, nothing was stepping out at me. And so I knew that I had to take it a different direction. When I get to a certain point, that layer beneath has helped me create what I'm painting now. And the same thing with each subsequent layer. The drips, the marks, sometimes the scratching into the wet paint all helps me take the next step. Nothing is lost. I've had people ask me before, why do artists completely cover up their paintings? And it's the painting that talks to you and tells you where you need to go next. It's not that an artist paints on the top of every single painting and completely changes it, because there's a lot of the peaks from the painting below that comes forth. So that's what's going to happen with this one. It actually turned out to be a totally different painting. It turns out to be a floral, an abstract floral. But the flow of this painting, in fact, I had already put a picture hanger on the back because I had a direction in mind, and it ended up being the opposite. So I totally went a different direction. And I feel that's okay as an artist. I don't always have to know when I'm painting these strokes where I'm going to go. I don't have to feel constrained to keep the blues in there. I don't have to feel like, okay, this has got to be what I planned it was initially, because that puts a constraint on me, and I love the freedom. I love to be able to take the risks, and it's just canvas. If I totally come out with something that I don't like, that's okay with me. Now I'm starting in with some greens because the blue is pulling me to add greens. And later on, I do mute the greens a little bit, but I do use some of the idea of where I'm putting the green for where I'm going to be putting my flowers. So it's kind of like a visual thing of where the flowers are going to be. In fact, when I added that one spot of blue down there, I almost thought, well, maybe that will be a vase, but it doesn't end up being a vase. It ends up being a painting with florals, just very loose florals on the canvas almost like you're looking through a window of someone's house and seeing the top part of the florals, and maybe the wind is blowing. I don't know, but I just went with what I was feeling, not necessarily inspired, but just how I was feeling. So I'm going to let you listen to the music, and I'll pop in periodically and just tell you what I'm doing. And I might speed some of this up so you can still see what I'm doing, but it's not every single stroke that I'm doing. I am not really looking at this point for any composition. I'm just adding the flowers, the roses, the poppies, or whatever the flower is. It's a very abstract flower. So I'm not looking at this point for really any balance or composition. I might be feeling the composition of where I place the flowers, but I go back later and I start to look to see why. And you'll see some of the things that I've learned to do in my paintings that have helped me balance them out to like my paintings. There was a time when I cared deeply about what other people thought about my paintings, and I thought, I like my painting, but will somebody else? I don't feel that way anymore, because what I like in my abstracts is I'm the artist and I'm the painter. Now, I do know that I will look for a painting and there'll come a time when I know something is not right, and you'll see me in this painting look at it, and I felt like I needed something else, and I'll talk you through what I did and how I get my paintings to the point of where I am pleased with them. Now, the only reason why I'm covering up all that blue is because that blue will show, some of that will show up to the top. So I'm just playing with the different blues, using some of the blue below as inspiration to add some of the blues in the top. But there is no reason why I'm going through this. It's just what I'm feeling at the moment. And I do have a course, and I can put that in the link, where I talk about how I do my underpaintings, and this is an underpainting on top. So I don't like just plain paint on my painting. I like it to have some texture, some marks, some rolling of the brush. There's different things I will do to make the actual underpainting of a painting more interesting than just putting paint down. And you'll see me later where I roll the brush and add different colors. You could almost say that I brought this painting back again to a mid-stage, the ugly stage again. And in my mind, yes, I probably have. I brought it back to another mid-stage. I've completely changed what I had before. And I am looking at it to decide what I need to do. Now, there are times where I do stop the painting to let that layer dry. And each of the colors that I'm using are a mix of all the colors. So it's not just the red cadmium from golden. It's the red mixed with some of the golden pink that I have, or the Amsterdam pink. So I mix them so that they all basically talk to each other and they play together nicely, so to say. But I'm bringing in the reds to give this a little bit of pop, but now I'm adding some of the golden high flow magenta. That's to give it an additional pop. So I'm making the flowers pop, but the background will need a little bit of work, and you'll see what I do to give the background a little bit more of a cohesivity, that's not a word, is it, to the painting. Now, I did not get my camera turned on when I did this, and I realized that it wasn't recording. But what you can see I did is I took some of the dark blues and just put them around the roses or the flowers. I needed a different balance of the lights and darks. I had a very muted background, and everything was blending together. So I do blend some of this back out again, but I needed to add some of that dark blue around the flowers to give the whole painting an additional balance. If you have everything like the same tones, then it's a very boring painting. Your eye wants something exciting to look at. It doesn't want the same old, same old. It wants something fun. Now, my abstracts and my abstract flowers, they're very abstract. I mean, if I turn this upside down, someone might not even say these are flowers. But to me, this is an abstract floral. But I needed to add some of that dark blue. And a lot of times another color I will add is black. A lot of people are afraid to use black, but black instantly changes a painting, and you might want to try that. Add some black around something or into your painting. All of a sudden you see it in a different, and it just helps you keep going. And that's kind of what's going here. Adding some of that dark blue, and it's different blues. They're I'll put the colors down below, but there's different colors, and again, I mix them. I will take, with a palette knife, a dollop of paint, put it to the side, and mix them with some of the other paints so that then it's not all straight out of the jar. Now I'm adding some, like, I think it's yellow ochre, and I like it, but I go back, and it helps because it's another color, and I'm just adding this straight out of the jar. It wasn't mixed with any of the other colors. If I had mixed that with another color, I may have liked it better, but I didn't, because I just grabbed it and added it to the painting, and that's a lot of times what I do. It's my prerogative, my option. But you can see I go back and I choose a cadmium yellow light to, I want a different pop there. I want to bring in a brighter yellow, and I didn't like that yellow. I'm using a palette knife here to go through and just add lines. I won't keep all of them, but it's kind of just, in my opinion, adding a line to, of the direction where the flowers are going. Now you can see all of a sudden, by bringing in a brighter yellow, not the same muted color that kind of was the same tone as some of the other colors I had on there, this yellow, it just pops the painting. I love it. Some other people may not like the addition of yellow to take the roses out of a traditional rose, but it's what I liked, and I needed the pop. So you can see what's going here. It's the balance back and forth between some lights and darks and some excitement, and that's what's making the painting, in my opinion, come alive. All right, so I'm taking a look at the painting, and I'm pleased with the direction, but I love light pink. So I have a couple different pinks that I draw from. I love golden, and I love, there's an Amsterdam, a couple pinks that I love. So I'm grabbing a couple different pinks, and actually just out of the tube on these, and just adding them directly. Now over to the side, I am mixing some of them to give maybe a variation of a couple pinks, but I'm just adding them to the roses or the flowers, just to kind of give them a different abstract pop. And I'm not totally looking at the composition still. but I'm looking at the roses to ensure that there's a good balance of the maroons and reds and pinks. So that's what I'm playing with here. And that's a cadmium red that I'm grabbing straight out of the jar to give the petals a little bit more of a texture. Some of when I put it down, of course you can't see it, I'm leaving it thicker than some of the other, so there is texture that's being built up on each of the flower and each of the petals. What I'm doing here is I'm actually adding some of the white, which you'll see me go back and tone some of that down, but I'm adding some of the white next to some of the dark. And a lot of times when you add light next to a dark, it really makes it pop. So I'm going in and I'm finding that my background, although I love it, is it's chaotic. So I'm adding some more of a smoother look to the background. But as you can tell, every once in a while I'll dip into a darker blue and I'll roll my brush. There we go, and then I'll smear it in. I don't like a very smooth background. I want less chaos than you see, but I don't want a very smooth background. So you see me go in and use my fingers, use the brush to just roll it around, add some different blues in there, add darker blues to it, so that it's not all a smooth color. And there I'm adding white using my fingers, blending it in. That's what I do. I don't want the painting to have a very smooth, I want it still a very abstract, very textured looking background, but I want to take some of the chaos out of what I had going on. Here I'm just taking the paintbrush and slapping the paint on there in a very haphazard way to kind of give some more additional texture to it. So this is totally dried, and this is the next day I slept on the thoughts of the painting, and I wanted to tone down some of the white area, so that's what I'm doing here. I just took a very, very light pink and mixed it with some titanium white and just slightly toning down some of the white so it's not as pop in your face. And then I'm just adding a little bit of white to different areas on the painting. And now I'm going in with some more of that magenta, straight, not straight magenta, it's the high flow magenta. And again, just trying to make things pop. I'm adding some more of the blue. I looked at it and I thought, where does the eye flow? And there was a space down here at the bottom that I'm going to work on shortly where I'm helping the eye flow, and I love that blue. It's the ultramarine blue and it's a high flow, and I just dip my brush down in the high flow, and I'm loving the way it just adds the painting, and I wanted the eye to flow through the painting and not get stuck somewhere or not stop. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm just adding some things down. Very heavy at the top. I wanted to bring it down to the bottom. And so I'm playing with the bottom part of the painting to see what I can do. And I still have a spot down there that I'm going to be working on. Even after I sign the painting, I'm going to be working on a little bit of the bottom. So this is how my painting, The Silent Fugue with Roses, a 24 by 24, ended up. As you can see at the bottom, I took my finger and just dipped it in the magenta and added a couple of the, kind of like a spreaded dot of a maroon at the bottom, just to kind of balance out that empty space. And this is how I do my paintings. I'm sharing with you my process. I'm sharing with you how I do my paintings. I may not be the painter that you want to learn from, but I hope that you can learn something from me, and I will certainly share what I know with you. And the thing with this painting that made the difference, in my opinion, was adding the darks and the lights, and adding them in such a way that the eye was able to flow through the painting from one spot of the painting to the other. And when I had that empty space at the bottom down there and I added the additional magenta, it just came alive for me. So I hope you enjoyed this. I would love a thumbs up. I share with you from my heart. I share with you what I paint. I may not be the artist that you're going to learn the most from, because there may be another artist that paints differently that you resonate with. But I hope there's some things that I share that you're able to pull some things that will help you in your art journey. And that's what it's all about. And I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts. And so anyway, I hope this has been helpful. And thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate it.